not the only one.
V'amar li Yishmael b'ni, and God said, Beracheni. God said to Rabbi Yishmael, Kohen Gadol, bless me. And he said, Amarti lo yehi ratzon b'fanecha shichbosh rachamecha ka'asecha v'yigolu rachamecha l'midotecha, right? What we already learned, that God, we're praying that Hashem should reveal His mercy over His anger. The strict judgment will be conquered by mercy. And that God is praying for Himself. Do you understand the depth of this? God is praying for Himself that His own mercy will conquer the other traits that are more difficult to deal with, like justice and judgment, etc. And that you should be, that I should be with them, not according to the letter of the law. And God nodded His head. And what do we learn from this? Is that even Hashem will receive the blessings of human beings, and Hashem has to pray Himself that His good traits dominate His bad traits, or what we call bad, but the strict traits, we should say. And we all know about this kind of thing, that we're praying all the time, that I shouldn't get angry, I should be more patient. And so you see that Hashem Himself is engaged in the same processes that we are. And finally, that we shouldn't take for granted a simple person's blessing just because they live in a cardboard box in Penn Station. And they bless you, you say Amen.
It's the highest.
Right. It can be.
It can be the highest.
It can be, right.
We know where it's going to come from.
Right. And we are going to go a little more. Ve'amar Rabbi Yochanan mishum Rabbi Yosef minayin she'ein mitzvah meratzin lo ladam b'shat ka'aso. How do we know, we're hearing in the name of Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi Yossi, that when a person is angry, we should not try to meratzin. Literally means to find favor in a person's eyes, or to try to make him feel better. When a person's angry, you're not supposed to answer. Rather, dichtiv, it's written about the Heta Egel, the golden calf, Panay elechu v'nichoti lach. My face will go and I will comfort you. And the Rav is going to tell us, the Gemara goes on, Amar lo, HaKadosh Baruch Hu leMoshe. God said to Moses, Hamten li ad she'ya'avru panim shel zam. Beautiful thing. God is telling Moses himself, wait a little bit until my anger is gone. That even Hashem has time. The Avru Panim Shazam, that the face of anger should leave a person before you should try to talk to him. And if when somebody's angered, just leave them alone. Whether it's your husband or your wife or anybody. All you can do is be there. You could say, I hear you, I'm sorry, it seems like you're angry. And not try to get in, because everybody knows that when you're angry, you really don't think too well. And it's not the time to try to engage somebody. So the Gemara asks, are you telling me that Hashem is angry? The infinite God who has all the power and all the gifts and all the love in the world, He also gets angry? Is that so? In Gemara says, yes, it's true. Titania. That there is an angry God. God is angry every day. That there is a moment of anger every day. And we know this by Balaam, the evil prophet, that he also was trying to calculate that moment of anger. Balaam. It depends on if you read the Stansino or the JPS or the Schottenstein, whichever translation you like. Balaam, Bilam, Bulam, Balak,
Balaam and Bilak.
Balak.
You don't want to confuse it with
Right. So anyways, so that there is this moment where we say God is angry. It's a moment of pure judgment, where everything really is white and black at a certain point. Of course, we live in the world of gray.
Does that mean before creation there was such a moment also, before there was anything other than...
Good question. John asks,
angry about?
Did God ever get angry before creation? Well, it reminds me of there's a guy who once said to me, I never was angry at women until I got married. So, Baruch haba, Boker Tov, you're welcome to the party, But was God angry before he got married to the Jewish people at Har Sinai? It sounded like he was. He was angry at the flood, right? He was angry at the tower.
Even before creation.
Before creation itself, that's
There's nothing to be angry about, was it?
nothing to be angry about. I asked myself that question once, John, and I came up with the answer that God wasn't angry, but he was lonely. It's lonely to be God. I mean, there's only one.
Yeah.
What do you do? Who do you talk to? All day long, every day, infinite days.
There's no Mrs. God.
no misses at home. So we do attribute all these qualities to Hashem because he is the master of all qualities. And even this idea of getting angry. Kamazama, well, how angry does God get? Rega, the Gemara says, a moment. Kama rega, how much is a moment? Echad mechameshet ribo v'shmonat alafim v'shmona me'ot v'shmona b'sha'a.
That's really
okay, folks.
Yeah.
Somebody get out your pencil and your calculator.
That's really a question how long for rather than how angry.
A moment could be a long time.
150,000 58,888 of an hour.
Of an hour?
Right, which is very interesting. 58,888 of an hour.
Okay.
It sounds like a lot less than a second. No?
Thank God, because
There's about what?
That's
There's about,
almost
how many seconds are an hour? 60 times 6.
It's almost nothing.
Times 60 minutes times 60 is
every
3,600.
minute
Yeah.
the world is 2.7 years approximately. Every minute
Uh-huh.
that Hashem's experience, our experience is 2.7 years. So it's good that you want me to do the calculation.
You don't have to, but
60, what is it, 58,000?
yes, it's 58,888 of 1 hour. Vazo hi rega. And that's called a moment by Hashem. Not everybody, very few people, in fact, or any creation, as a matter of fact, can really align himself or sense that amount of time, that moment. Rega ba'apol. That's right.
Small,
But this only says for how long he's angry.
0.001.
0.00101 of an hour.
Divided it by 60 minutes.
I think you have to times it by.
That would be 1/10,000th of a second, or 1,000th of a second. 1,000th of a second. Yeah, John.
This says how long he's angry, not how angry he is.
Right, that says how long he's angry, how angry he is. That's a good point. Not everybody can understand that moment. But it's written about this prophet of the other side. He knows the upper knowledge. So we ask, but how can you say Bilam knows the Das Elyon? He doesn't even know the Das of his donkey. Right? Because we know that he was visited by his donkey, was angry at him, and he wasn't aware of it. How can we say that he knew this dot, that Bilam himself knew such a thing? Rather, it teaches us that he was able to calculate that moment when every day when Hashem is angry, and of course that's what he wanted to use to curse the Jewish people. Ami Zachar Nama Ya'atz Balak Melech Moav. And that's what he said. My nation, remember, Ma Ya'atz Balak. What Balak advised, the king of Moab, who of course he's the one who hired Bilam to curse the Jews. And we know that Balaam answered, Lama'an dat tzedakot Hashem, in order to know the righteousness of God. My Lama'an dat tzedakot Hashem. What does this mean? Coming from Balaam, to know the das, the awareness, the knowledge of the righteousness of Hashem. Amar Rabbi Elazar, Amar lehem HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael. God said to the Jews, Du'u kama tzerakot asiti machem. You should know how much righteousness I did with you. Shelo ka'asti b'yamei bilam harasha. That I did not become angry during the days of Bilam when he wanted to curse you. She'ilma le ka'asti, because if I had become angry, Lo nishtaya misonenihim shel Yisrael sarid v'falit. That if I had gotten angry during the time, not a remnant of the Jews would remain behind when Bilam was going to curse you at the moment of my anger. So God, in other words, protected us by removing his own anger at that moment. Otherwise, we couldn't have stood up to it. This is what Bilam said to Balak. Ma aikov lo akaboel. How can I curse? If God does not curse, ma zom lo zam el. And how can I bring anger when God is not angry? So you see, Bilam even knew that Hashem was holding himself back for the sake of the Jewish people. And this is a fascinating subject about how an evil person can be a prophet. And of course, there are many ways to access knowledge. Through the occult is one of them. Through holiness is the one that we've been assigned to pursue, pursue knowledge. But we should know that there are many ways, and it's a test of every human being. How are you going to get your knowledge? Are you going to use insider trading to try to dominate the market? Are you going to, are you going to check your wife's emails to find out what's going on? I mean, these are all ways people do things, but is it the real way? No, the real way is to go through Hashem, because that's the safest way. All right. I think we'll stop there and move on to a little bit of halacha, a little bit of hasidut. We'll move away from this subject of God's anger. Shabbos is coming. We're looking for that joy.
The effect of the anger might be longer than that time. That's the thing.
John, could you bring those books over here? Another two books? Thanks. So it seems like Facebook Live is working now, which means that our connection is better than it's been. Baruch Hashem. So I hope all of you out there who are hearing this Shira are enjoying it. And if you are not here at live but hear it later, I also welcome you and look forward to being here again on YouTube Live. Did I say Facebook again? I'm in Facebook jail. Do not let me out yet so fast.
It's working.
The Facebook jail. It's the place you don't want to go. Yeah, they clipped. We gave a class. They used Jewish demons, and the phrase "Jewish demons" came up on my class, mistakenly put, and so that's why they put us in jail. But maybe we'll be back on Facebook someday. But right now we have YouTube and we have Hashem, and that's the most important thing. Okay. Right. Okay. It's funny, huh? And being accused of being an anti-Semite, that's pretty rough, huh? Okay. Well, it was either mistyped or misinterpreted, the phrase on Facebook. It was appealed, but that doesn't change anything in the high court of Facebook. No, you got to get appointed by Trump to be on the high court of Facebook.
Was there a guy sitting there in his office deciding what to do?
I think it's algorithm. The algorithm did it, but nonetheless, it picked up the words and did what it does. We are learning about Hilchot Hatzot Laila, and in general, the Alot HaShachar, and getting up in the morning.
Thank you.
And we can understand here, the Rab begins, Shefligu l'Sefer Zohar, the great praise that the Zohar gives, B'shevach mi shosek b'Torah achar hatzot laila. That somebody gets up in the middle of the night to learn Torah is a tremendous thing. And tremendous praise and pleasure in heaven. V'da ki ikaru. We should know that the main thing is that we should work use all our power. In other words, we should not be measuring ourselves against anybody else's power, but your power and my power. And each person has their own level of power. And if they can get up for 5 minutes, that's also a great thing. And if they can get up for 3 hours, adarabba. Each person is different, and we should not fall into the Yetzirah trap of comparing ourselves to others. What we can do is look at other people's qualities and their achievements and praise them and be grateful that such people exist and try to follow them. But it doesn't mean I compare myself to them, because you're never going to come out on top. You're never going to come out looking the way you feel. Until the morning, and then we should go pray. We learned. And if he cannot sleep at all, that's even better. And there's no level greater than that. But what about this Indian of sleeping or not sleeping? Is sleeping such a bad thing? I mean, we sleep to stay alive, right? We sleep to keep our sanity if we don't sleep. But rather, in the eyes of Torah, sleep is a leaving the world of action, leaving the world of free choice, leaving the world of power, of human power and service. That once we're asleep, we're already entering a realm that's not as holy. The neshama is entering a holier realm, but the body's being left behind without a soul. So it's considered a fall to go to sleep. But of course, we have to do it anyways. All right.
You feel
How are we
great when you
doing on
wake
time?
up.
We got a few more minutes. What's that, John?
You feel great when you wake up if you slept. That's the unusual thing.
That's right. You recharge, and we need to do this. It's part of the whole cycle of light and dark. That if the world wasn't split between holy and unholy, good and evil, all the paradigms of right and left, if there was no such differentiation, there wouldn't be a need to sleep either. Tahora and Tuma, etc. Those categories that create the dichotomy between the holy and the unholy. Without them, you don't need to sleep, because we wouldn't find ourselves in this world that tries to get us to do things we shouldn't do. Okay. Let's jump over to Rebbe Nachman while we have time, because usually we overrun and then we're run over. Uh-oh. What? Mincha is at 10 till. Right. Anybody around Jerusalem, feel free to come daven at Mincha at Yeshivat Nahar Shalom at 12:50 every day. And we are holding in Torah Hay on Likuti Moharan Tinyana, and we've been learning a lot about the power of faith, the impact that faith has on healing, or the opposite, illness, lo aleinu. We've been learning about that the creation of the world began dark, and then light was created, and so too the day is structured, first night and then light, and so too the human body is a place of darkness until it receives the light. And what's the light of the human body? Of course, it is your soul. You are the light. Now, of course, I don't necessarily feel like I'm the light every morning when I get up, etc. But in relationship to the body, our neshama is the light of Hashem. Okay, and so we have to work that out for ourselves to be able to own that label, to take on that true identity of what a Jew is. And every human being has that potential as well. We learned last time that the way that we polish the soul, this is very nice, Zerach, that the way we polish our soul is by bringing spirituality into the constricted places. In other words, it's not simply, okay, God is great, the world is wonderful, I love Israel, all these wonderful broad concepts, but those are broad concepts. They're not being brought into constriction. To bring constriction means to put all your love of Israel into this little coin and give it to somebody. That's constricting the holiness into a tiny place called a half shekel, right? Or to constrict ourselves into not answering somebody when they're upset. Or to constrict ourselves into putting on tefillin when I don't feel like it. That's the idea of bringing holiness into unholiness, into the kalim, into the constriction, and that is what actually polishes and shines our holy souls. Okay, so we're holding in the third paragraph of Torah Hay. Well, there's another concept we've had that's worth repeating, that the advices that we need are called light as well. And when we don't have advice, when we don't know what we need to do, that's also called darkness. So where do we find the advices that we need, John?
In the tzaddik. No.
In the tzaddik, that's one place. But in context of this Torah, it's in the deep waters of the heart. So the deep waters of your heart are the place that you will get the advice that you need. So clearly I need to get into those deep waters. How do I dive in there? Right? I need scuba gear? What am I going to do? He says, no, you need ish tvunot. So an ish tvunot is a man of understanding. Yul yidelena, the pasuk says. He has the ability to dip into the heart and bring out advice. Okay, very nice. We need those advices. It takes us out of doubt. And doubt is, of course, the main tool of the Yetzer Hara to short circuit our desire to do good in the world. The ish tvunot said, this man, mi sheyesh lo neshama. So a person who has he calls it, he has a neshama, he's the person who has tavuna, understanding, capable of extracting the advice. So in a general sense, we say that's the righteous man, the tzaddik. But it's kind of interesting, the phrase he uses. He says, that this ish tvunot, this man of understanding, he's called a neshama. What's a neshama? Well, it's a soul, right? No. When the Rabbi Nachman and most of the Kabbalistic and Hasidic Sfarim use different phrases for the soul, they're referring to different powers in our soul. Neshama is the power of the mind, the level of bina, of understanding, of language, of mathematics. Neshama is the upper part of a person's soul. The ruach is the part of the soul that feels things. It's the emotional center. And the nefesh is the animating aspect of the body that keeps your blood flowing and your heart pumping and your lungs breathing. It's all the lower physical functions of the body are controlled by the nefesh. So there's nefesh, ruach, and neshama are three inherent, or shall we say, the parts of the soul that we access all the time. The chaya and yechida, the two upper levels, are called makifim. They're surrounding lights that we carry with us, but they're not integrated into us. Okay, so a person has a neshama, he's called an understanding person because he has a certain amount of intellectual understanding and development. He's able to go inside and extract those eitzot. So when you're walking down the street in Jerusalem, it says, "Oh, neshama sheli." Right? What are they talking about? Is that high part of yourself that is your thinking faculty. All right, this is the ish tvunot, and he's able to extract these advices. Okay. Now, yesterday, when a person succeeds in extracting the advices that he needs, and he brings spirituality into the constricted places, as we just mentioned, then guess what happens? When he brings godliness into the narrow places, and he says, "L'tok gufim," even within a person's body, then a person's parnasa is doubled and increased. A person's income increases as his ability to bring spirituality into the narrow places. So this is a very interesting advice. If you work on Wall Street and you're trying to make a few million today, put on tefillin in your office first. You're going to say you're going to make more. And he uses this lashon, doubles and increases. This is more than doubles. Because when we draw spirituality into the constricted places, into bodies, our body itself is a constriction, by the way. If your neshama suddenly took off out of your body, you'd see you would not be as constricted as we are. Now, I know when I get up early in the morning and my body is stiff as a board, it feels pretty constricted. Then you get up, you take a shower, you daven, you feel better, you feel more expanded. Well, just that if you multiply the expansion of your neshama not being held by the body, you have an understanding that the neshama is a much greater thing than we realize. And it's a much larger spiritually than we understand. And this, by the way, of bringing new souls into bodies, Tuvia, is called Bria. That you bring Kedusha into a little place, half shekel, that eventually you're creating a new creation. And even if the person who receives it gets a spark of joy from that coin, it's a new creation in him. You've created in him a new little joy from giving him tzedakah. And that's called the Bria. So we're participating in the process of creation. Tzedakah is one example. It's the most prominent example in Torah, and it is called Hahu mitzvah elsewhere. Tzedakah is called the mitzvah of Torah. Oh, Moshe, Baruch haba, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How you doing, man?
Good to see you. So we're learning about bringing, just now, Moshe, when you want to increase your parnasa, bring holiness into the physical places, into the little places. And that doubles your parnasa, Rabbi Nachman says.
Wow.
Okay. And with we're live on Facebook, on YouTube. Right, so yeah, you're going international.
I saw
Moshe.
something on Facebook, that's why I came.
Oh, that's nice.
Reminded me. Yeah.
Okay. So Ikar Bria, as I take if Kishanase is a Bria, when you make this new soul, this new creation by bringing holiness into the physical places, Azai Hashem Yitbarach Note Parnasa Tekef. Immediately a person will receive new Parnasa Ki Hashem Yitbarach Mefarnes Mekarne Re'im Ad Betze Kinim. Because we know Hashem is giving life force from the antlers of a elk to the eggs of kinim. It's one of our lice. Oh, thank you, John. Wow. The lice eggs. I won't go looking for those in the shuk. But take if shish bria, and when there is this new bria, take if Hashem Yitbarach noten parnasa. He repeats the idea, right? A new parnasa. Because the shama, this is very fascinating. The soul itself does not need parnasa. It doesn't need pizza. It doesn't need dollars. It doesn't need a 401k. The neshama doesn't need us. We need it. The neshama, we said earlier, is a person who's neshama tuvia is called ish tvunot, the man of understanding, because he has an intellect. Because the tavuna is coming from the left brain, and the neshama is coming from the chokhmah, bina, and dot. So that's the person that you want to talk to. But the body itself also doesn't need parnasa. The reason we need parnasa is because the body and the soul are locked together in this relationship. This is the partnership of body and soul. Deal Torah via dear. We have Kaddish, folks. Amen. There's a demand for the body's needs and the soul's needs. The soul needs Torah to stay in this world, and the body needs food to stay in this world. So the partnership is what creates the demand for parnasa, and that's why if you bring the holiness, the ruchaniyut, spirituality, into the physical place, you're making that little partnership. That moment of making the partnership, there's a transfer of parnasa, and he says God pays immediately. So when we understand these things, we see that the rabbis aren't telling us to do things just because they like to tell people what to do. No, not at all. Humble people don't like telling people what to do. But they're telling us because it's so good for us. A little bit of tzedakah, a little bit of connection, a little bit of spirituality in the most physical place changes everything. That's why if you open up a sefer on a bus, and you read one pasuk out loud, you're bringing ruchaniut into physicality. Maybe nobody else learned Torah in that bus before in history. You find yourself in the middle of the field somewhere, and you call out to Hashem. Maybe no one ever prayed to God in that place. That's bringing spirituality into physicality, and that Rabbi Nachman says Hashem pays immediately.
What do you mean pays immediately?
He said it right now. He says here, you get parnassa immediately.
Oh, the parnassa, it's not money.
That's right, because you're making a joining. If I join these two items, it's a demand when you put the body and the soul together to give them life force. And so therefore Hashem pays immediately because you're actually extending His will into the world. You're bringing His will, His spiritual will, into a physical place. But He knows that there's a price. There's a price to keep a soul in a body. The price is parnassa. So He